So you'll start at the Yuletide homepage, Yuletide 2010, and you'll see a link to the sign-up form. Basically, the idea is you fill out requests, 3 to 4 requests, then you fill out offers, 4 to 10 offers, and then at the end, you submit, and you will have signed up. So the first piece about requests, you have to make at least 3 requests. You can make 4. The requests all, however, have to be for different fandoms. In the past, we've allowed for people to duplicate a fandom in their 4th request. This year, we're not going to do that, just because it would have required making the code really kind of clunky and difficult to configure. If you only want 3 fandoms, you only need to make 3 requests, and if you want, you can add a 4th. The other piece that is different this year is, in addition to fandom and characters, which, as always, that's the only piece that we guarantee matching you on. But this year, we are able to do a couple of cool additional things. You can specify some additional tags, and we will try to match you on those tags as well. So, for instance, you can specify a particular rating. If you want a head or a slash or a fem slash or a multi-story, you can ask for those as well. The important thing to remember with all this is we don't guarantee you a match. These are just like the optional details. The difference is optional details, we can't actually match on that in a sort of programmed way. These things we can. So what we're going to be doing is using this to improve sort of the ranking of your match. And hopefully we will be able to match people up better this year because of it. So, for instance, you'll be more likely to match somebody who has offered 2 fandoms that you requested than match somebody who just offered 1. You are also more likely to match someone who meets all the things in your request instead of just the fandom and characters. But again, not guaranteed, just so people don't get disappointed. However, it hopefully will be cool if it works. So here is the request form. I'm just going to scroll through the whole thing briefly since these new features do make it a bit longer. You start out with a fandom. Then there are the characters. Here's where you can enter a freeform tag. And if you want some inspiration, I suggest you look at the tags tab, which shows you the tag cloud of all the various most popular tags that are just freeform tags. And you can put any one of these in. We do, unfortunately, limit you to only putting in 1 because I'm a little afraid of making the matching blow up and take 10 years. If I do more, if it works pretty well this year, hopefully next year we'll be able to add even more flexibility. You can also specify the category, which is fem slash, het, gen, slash, multi, or other. You can also specify a rating. So for instance, what this is kind of intended to do is let you specify sort of a little bit more about your dream story. And we still, however, ask that you keep in mind you may be matched with somebody just on fandom and characters. And so please be flexible and understand if you don't get a story that matches your ideal dream. And when you're writing your details, please be flexible there too. It's perfectly fine to give your writer a sense of what you really love, what would really sort of thrill you the most, but try and also give them alternatives, give them ideas for what they could do if that's not up their alley. So let's start with finding a fandom that we want. I'm going to go for my tiny little fandom, Dracula the series. All right, so now when I click in the characters form, obviously it's sort of intimidating. Hey, how am I supposed to fill in the characters? When you click in, you will get a happy little autocomplete. that will show you the characters wrangled to the fandom. For performance reasons, this has to be limited to about the first 10 characters that are returned that match. So if you choose a fandom that has, like 80 characters in it, it will only sort of return the first 10. However, if you start typing, it will automatically respond and, for instance, fill in more characters that match exactly what you started typing. So you can always just look up the characters on the big text list that we posted on the live journal, and there will be a link to it from the instructions as well. For freeform, let's say crossover. Oops, stay long. And category MM. And sure, let's go for an explicit story. And what we'll say in our optional details, which remember are optional, and then the URL here, if you have written a Dear Yuletide author letter, you can put that letter in. Or, for instance, you can just put in your main live journal address and figure that they can take it from there. Once you've got your fandom picked, your characters, you've put in whatever tags. You don't have to put in characters, and you don't have to put in a freeform tag. You don't have to choose a category, and you don't have to choose a rating. The only thing you have to choose is the one in red, which is a fandom, and you can only choose one per box. If you make a mistake, don't worry. The sign-up form will not let you submit. Now let's scoot down to the offers, which are also different this year. You can make up to 10 offers. You have to make at least 4, and all of them have to be in different fandoms. The reason that the code is limited to 10 just because we found that is what actually makes for practical matching in a reasonable time frame without killing the server, and that it actually is kind of sort of the limit for where it's sort of useful in terms of potential matching. Because you have to remember, you can only be matched to one person. So if you offer, 100 different fandoms, that actually doesn't help matching. It means that the person who offers 100 different fandoms has an enormous list of potential matches, but they can only actually be matched to one person. So what is much more helpful is if you specifically offer things that people have requested, which nobody else has offered. Those you'll be able to see up here at the top. There will be a sign-up summary. That said, we know that people love to offer a whole bunch of fandoms as part of Yuletide. It's part of the fun of being surprised by what you get. So there is a way that you can offer more than 10 fandoms, and that will be a bucket offer. The first piece that I will show you is how to do just a regular offer, and then I'll show you how to do a bucket offer. So here's the offer form. Again, the only things that you have to submit are the things in red: fandom and characters. It says characters 2 to 8. You can also offer any. Keep in mind, any means really any. So be sure that you're aware of the characters in that fandom before you check the box. So just be prepared for that. And if you're willing to take that risk, we salute you and are very grateful, because that does make matching much easier. So fandom, again, this works pretty much the same as it did on the request side. I'm going to show you for a second the kinds of thing that happens that I mentioned when you choose a fandom that has a huge number of characters. You unfortunately get a long list, and as you can see, it's alphabetical and stops at the C's because there are too many people here. So let's say that you have some sense of the character you need to you want. So we start putting in this, and we get a much smaller list of matches. including a new one that wasn't on the first list because alphabetically came late. So we'll start with Richard, and let's say, I don't know, is there anyone named? Sure. I actually am embarrassed to admit I don't know who these people are. In free forms, you can put in up to 3. And again, the big tags page is super useful for this. Let's say that you're happy writing first time, you're happy writing humor, and you're happy writing poetry. So you could put those in. Categories, well, we've got, 2 guy characters here, but, so we could say we're happy to write Jen, happy to write happy to write other. I don't know what other would be in this context, but why not? And you could also uncheck these and basically just choose any if you're really quite happy writing any of these types. And you don't have to choose any of these if you don't want to. It's just if there are some things that you actually are happier writing, go ahead and specify. Same thing with ratings. Again, we don't guarantee that you'll match on these things. It just makes it a little bit more likely that you will get matched to somebody who asked for the same things that you did. And let's just say, for simplicity's sake, any on both of these. And the optional tags are to be used for the bucket offer. And now here's how to make a bucket offer. For a bucket offer, you pick just the first fandom that you're looking to do. So let's say 2001. Then in characters, you have to choose any. The bucket offer has to be all the fandoms for which you are prepared to write any characters. If you want to restrict characters, then the limit is 10 offers total. Just because it makes the matching much more intensive when we have to match characters. That's basically why. So in this case, to make the bucket work, we choose 2001, we choose any, and then we'll leave all the rest open and go to optional tags. And in here, you basically are going to put in any fandoms that you also want to write. So, and this is the way the optional tags autocomplete works. This can be used for almost any kind of tag in different challenges. For instance, some challenge might want to let you just throw in a whole pile of tags. So the autocomplete will return you a whole bunch of different kind of wacky options. The simple solution is just look at the full list here, and let's say we like aha, and we're just going to copy that, and you can paste it in, and it will work. You can also scroll down to the one just below. Oops. Just to review, bucket offer is you pick one fandom out of the list here, you choose any for characters, and you put in the additional fandoms that you want to write here.